Hello out to all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear, listening into another What If discussion from me. And this I'm going to be talking about the possibility of a Zelda story starting off with Link and Ganon being friends. Now, this is another thing that was kind of derived from the whole Breath of the Wild thing before the game actually gave us any full details. But this was definitely after Al-Numa had already said that his joke was a joke and that the main character was actually Link. Um, Not a real big deal, but there's been quite a bit of fan art out there where Link and Ganondorf are friends with each other, and they kind of look like they trained together or like they grew up together and stuff like that. Like and to me, that's an interesting concept to go with for a story from a Legend of Zelda game, because then you have the opportunity to start this game off with Link and Ganon being a part of like the Hylian Knights or any organization that's just kind of trying to work together to build a better kingdom. And this could be during the time period when Hylians and Gerudo actually get along. Like they're friends with each other. They don't argue or fight. There's no war or betrayal between them, at least not on the surface level. And it could just be like openly, like they're Gerudo and the Hylians are just like they're hunky dory and everything. Now, behind the scenes, it could be understood that the Hylians, especially the royal family, are they're kind of belittling to the Gerudo. Like they have a thought about themselves where they feel like they're above the Gerudo. They're better than the Gerudo. And this isn't something that both Link and Ganondorf are aware of in the early onset of their relationship. Like, say they grew up together. Like, the two of them met as kids and just grew up together around each other, and they became friends. They became best friends. And say Ganondorf is a little bit older. He's the stronger of the two. He's definitely been the one that's a little bit more headstrong, a little bit more bold, to say the least. And Blake Link was like his tag along, and they did a lot, like they did basically everything together. That's why they both wanted to become knights, and they worked toward the goal of both of them becoming Hylian knights. And for Ganondorf, that's a big thing because let's say he's the first Gerudo to achieve that. He's the first first member of the Gerudo to become a Hylian knight. And Link does so right along with him. Like they graduate together. But then, as a member of the Knights, Ganondorf gets to see things from the inside perspective of how Hylians view Gerudo and how they respond to them. And it's something that he begins to dislike. He starts to hate it. He finds disdain in the other members of the Knights. And it's not something he can talk to Link about because Link doesn't understand. He doesn't see things the same way that Ganondorf does, or at least that's his assumed perspective. He doesn't believe that Link would be empathetic enough to get where he would be coming from. So his first thought, though, is to positively change this. So he figures, I'm a member of the Hylian Knights now, and I can impress them with my own actions and make them see that the Gerudo aren't as bad as they think. I can show them that we are quality people. But then Ganondorf doesn't understand that many of the Gerudo are thieves and are stealing from the Hylians secretly. And this is the dynamic that causes the the upper crust of the Hylians to view the Gerudo in such a negative light. And he hasn't discovered this yet. Let's just say when he became a knight, he hadn't discovered this yet. He didn't know. Same for Link. Link didn't know. And I meant to also incorporate Princess Zelda into this and forgot. I wanted to say all of them knew each other from from when they were young, but Link and Ganondorf are best friends. I don't know how I skipped over that detail, but Zelda knew how the Gerudo were viewed, but she chose to ignore it herself. Like to not treat them all as what she realized that only a few were basically doing. And again, Link is just oblivious. Not because he's dumb or anything. It's just he wasn't aware. He wasn't made aware. And the only reason Ganondorf even became aware is again because of joining the Knights. And it's basically because there were backhanded compliments given to him based on his heritage. And he didn't understand why that was. And he didn't get why people viewed him as lesser when he was clearly superior in capability to many of them. And then Link eventually gets caught up in it. He starts to recognize that his friend is behaving differently and is wondering what caused it. And it doesn't become apparent to him until they are put on a mission that leads to them having to corner and stop some Gerudo thieves. And Link, just because in his mindset he's doing the right thing, he's like, okay, we need to arrest them and take them back to be locked up and imprisoned. But Ganondorf, seeing that what they're taking are like supplies, it's not like they're taking like money or being greedy or taking things that they don't really need. It's like stuff like food, clothing, blankets, things of that nature. Like, and he gets the mindset like, no, we should let them go. What they're taking, their necessities. We can stop them from taking the things, but we should let them go. And this causes a little bit of a rift between them, because Link, not fully understanding, he just sees they're thieves. Thieves need to go to jail. Doesn't matter what they're taking. And Ganondorf looks at it nuanced, as in they're being thieves, but they're not greedy per se. They're taking what is needed, things that they have to take care of their families. They're taking resources and not just things to make themselves wealthy. So this causes a big fight between the two of them, a little bit of a rift, because Link does impose taking them and imprisoning them, and when other knights show up, Ganon is outnumbered on the choice. He's outnumbered on the choice, so those Gerudo thieves do end up in jail. So this ends up causing a bit of a rift between Link and Ganon, because one was going by how they felt about the situation, and the other was just playing by the rules of that they had already established. And Ganondorf starts to drift away from Link and more towards talking to and trying to empower the Gerudo people and trying to get them from the place that they're struggling to build up to having a kingdom. Like, one that's well worth them having instead of being stuck in the outskirts on a desert of Hyrule, somewhere that they could have their own wealth and that their people could be well taken care of. Which would lead to him finally just dropping being a member of the Knights and waging, declaring war on the kingdom. And this could lead to massive battles between the Gerudo and the Hylians, and Link and Ganon having to be on opposite sides of the battlefield with each other, constantly running into each other fighting. And in most cases, Ganondorf would beat Link because he is the better trained fighter. He's better prepared, and he knows Link like the back of his hand. Like he knows him very well because they trained together and they had spent so much time together. Like, Link is the only person that's capable of holding him off, but Ganondorf is still the better fighter between the two of them. So while they are on opposite sides, Link is still wanting to get his friend back, and Ganon still respects Link, but he's to the point where he feels like he needs to focus more on the prosperity of his people rather than his friendship. And so in this scenario, it leaves both of them kind of, like in the right about how they feel, but it just gives them opposing viewpoints. Whereas Link is just doing what he feels is right to protect the kingdom and to fulfill his role. Ganondorf is doing what he feels he needs to do in order to build his people up and to make them or take them to a more prosperous position. So that's what this whole thing is about. Like, that's what it boils down to. And that's something that I think could have been interesting for a Legend of Zelda game. Even though this isn't really so focused on Zelda herself, I mean, she still maintains a key role because she's a member of the royal family, and she was trying to change the kingdom from within to get people to view the Gerudo as they are as a people. Like, they're just the people that are struggling to take care of themselves and they need help. Whereas that's not the view of most of the kingdom. Most of the Hylian kingdom is very selfish. They don't want to help anyone else, and they feel that they are blessed by goddesses, so they don't have to put any effort in to take care of anyone else. They don't have to put any effort in to do good for someone else. It should be just left on their shoulders. That whatever they need to procure it themselves. Which is what leads to the whole Gerudo thievery thing in the first place, where they're taking things by necessity to take care of their families. And that is what leads to, and that ends up leading to the Hylians looking down on them and the beginning of the whole war. I don't think there's much more I can add to that, because the rest of it would have to be like an in-game thing, and this is really just a what if or like a basis for a game. So you guys can let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll respond. But other than that, thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me, and until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out.